What's up, party people? This is Deirdre Martinez of the Uplift Movement. And it's about this time yesterday, right, that we were all kind of like on edge watching a political, I don't know, would you call it a debate? Chaos. It was kind of a circus. I don't know about you, but I was feeling very much on edge. And I debated about whether I would even watch the debate because I knew the stress I would get. And I decided to watch it anyway. So perhaps you feel the same way afterwards. Like, you know, there's just stress that got generated because of the state of our nation right now, as well as what's to come. So I actually did a talk today on calming a crisis with cannabis, and I'm going to share some of that with you right now to help specifically with something called anxiety. Maybe you're experiencing some anxiety right now. So you're not the only one. And it's funny how history kind of tends to repeat itself. So I'm going to share with you some of my excerpts from my newest book, A Higher State of Health. Yay! So it's A Higher State of Health, Cannabis Therapeutics for Women, Ancient Medicine to Flourish in the Modern World. And guess what? The modern world is pretty awesome, but at the same time, there's a lot of freaking stress. So learning how to use natural ways of therapy, right? So I talk about cannabis, but it's not just cannabis, plant medicine. I talk about nutrition, fitness, stress management, and all kinds of good stuff. So pick up a copy, it's on Amazon. But I'm gonna dive into this right now. So even back in 2017, the American Psychological Association reported that the top 3 stressors in the US were, guess what number 1 was? It's the same as it is right now. Future of our nation. Yes, 63% of Americans felt that was the number 1 stressor, was the future of our nation. Doesn't surprise me. It's like, isn't it crazy? It's the same thing now, probably. The number 2 with 62% was job pressure, stress at work. Okay, so maybe you're experiencing both of them. And number 3 was 61% was money. Okay, especially right now, we're not only involved in political unrest, but also economic instability, right? Kind of in the midst of a depression right now. There's a lot of job insecurity, financial insecurity, and all of that can lead to stress. And you take an epidemic of COVID, right, which is almost like the worst conditions, because what makes you susceptible to illness, to disease, is stress, because it weakens your immune system, okay? So what I'm going to talk about today is how to boost your immune system with plant medicine, and not just cannabis, because a lot of people smoke cannabis, but they're not using it therapeutically. It's more recreational. So I'm going to go into how to actually use it therapeutically and why it actually works therapeutically. So the first one is, you know, why? Like, how does it work in the body? It's something that's called your endocannabinoid system. And if you go to my website, deirdremartinez.com, you can download a free copy of a cannabis health handbook. And I really dive into that. But basically, you have these receptors in your body that keep the body in homeostasis when you have cannabinoids, so either from the cannabis plant, or endocannabinoids, which are produced within your body on its own. And you produced 2 endocannabinoids that we so far know of right now, called anandamide, which is also known as the bliss molecule, and 2-AG, which can actually stimulate hunger. So that gets impaired. The endocannabinoid system gets impaired with stress, okay? And it throws off our body's ability to be in homeostasis. And what is homeostasis? So for instance, you go outside where it's hot, like today it was like 100 degrees, and your senses take in what the temperature is, right? It goes to the brain, and the brain wants to keep the body in balance, so it sends this neurological signal to release sweat so that the body stays cool. So the endocannabinoid system works the same way. It's connected to all your different organs. That's why when we have stress, right, like it can cause a weakness in your digestive tract, and all of a sudden you're constipated. Like it's the body's way of protecting itself. And when we have ongoing chronic stress because of the state of our nation and job insecurity and financial insecurity, it just becomes too much for the body, and it just shuts down and it gets sick. Okay, so we want to keep balance in the body, and we can do that through the endocannabinoid system, whether you're stimulating on its own or you're doing that through supplementing with cannabis. Okay, you can use THC, which is non-psychoactive, and you can also use CBD, which is non-psychoactive. I like to use the whole plant, which includes all of them, and there's ways to do it where you don't necessarily get high, but if it's, if you get high, it's okay too. It's okay. People are on prescription medications all the time, and that gets you high. Just saying, just saying. So anyways, anxiety. Okay, so anxiety specifically, the model that I use in this book of my Cannabis Therapeutics encompasses 4 elements. The first one is nutrition. Okay, and when I say nutrition, it's not just what you eat, it's how you eat and your relationship with food, because if that's causing stress at all, like you're eating salad, but you really want a donut, and you're having like, I hate this salad, I want a donut. Okay, that's causing stress. Or you're eating the donut and you're like, I should be eating a salad, and you're feeling guilty, that's causing stress. So, and also if you're eating too much junk, if you're not having a balanced diet, that's causing digestive stress. So all of that throws your endocannabinoid system out of balance. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do when we're looking at nutrition, anxiety is an imbalance in energy. And I talk about in the book something called Ayurveda, which is an Indian practice of using like food and aromatherapy, all these different elements to bring balance. And so with nutrition, what we want to do is really use grounding foods. Okay, grounding foods, things like sweet potato, root vegetables, beets, things like that. Those are really grounding vegetables. Also like warm foods. I know right now it's hot, so it's like the idea of eating something hot might not sound appeasing, but just have it at room temperature, okay? And then also having meals that are just kind of small throughout the day, because especially like sugar or caffeine, we want to just avoid that or have as little as possible, because caffeine and high sugar is going to give you that spike and the shakes, and then you crash. And I remember when I didn't know that I had anxiety. I didn't know until I had chronic back pain. And I was at a doctor's office, and he's like, you have anxiety. And I'm like, what? What's anxiety? And I didn't learn until I was 30. And I was drinking coffee all day, Diet Cokes all day, and that totally contributed to my muscle spasms and the anxiety. So definitely minimizing that. And then also too is mindfulness meditation. That's a huge part for stress management is mindfulness meditation. And the practice that I really recommend for managing anxiety is a body scan. Okay, when you close your eyes, you can do this lying down, you can do this sitting up, you can do it standing while you're waiting in line, but closing your eyes and just starting at the crown of your head, doing a body scan, noticing where there's tension around the forehead, around the eyes, really softening into those places, breathing deep into those places, then the shoulders. Because what happens when we have anxiety, there's a physiological reaction, right? Our mind is just like blah, 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 think, 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 think. And we start to do this. We get these like stress lines here. Don't even notice it, okay? So you soften into that part. We do this, we hunch over, right? We want to soften into those parts. And so when we get quiet by just focusing on our breath and scanning the body, we can soften into those places, breathe into those places, and restore relaxation. Now, one thing that is important to know when it comes to mindfulness meditation is we want to do it open and non-judgmentally. So for instance, if you're doing your body scan and you start to sense pain somewhere, okay, we don't want to start letting the mind criticize, I shouldn't have lifted this, or I shouldn't have done that. What am I thinking? I'm so dumb. I'm going to hurt myself. That only contributes to more pain. Okay, it only highlights more of that negativity, and it gets you wrapped up into your head again, and off into more la la land. Okay, so we don't want to be in la la land. We want to be back in the body. Okay, so practicing being present in the body, doing the body scan, open and non-judgmentally. Now the next part, so that was, we covered nutrition, stress management. The next one is fitness. Okay, so a lot of times when we're feeling anxious, we think, oh, I need to go sweat it out. Like, I just need to go and like do kickboxing and go crazy. Well, that is actually counterproductive. So anxiety will take your adrenaline high. It spikes up your cortisol. It shuts down your digestive system. So doing high intensity exercise like spinning, kickboxing, HIIT workouts, all of that kind of stuff, that does the same thing. It's going to take your adrenaline up. It's going to take your cortisol levels up. You don't want to do the same thing. Okay, you don't want to add on more of that stress. You actually want to do the opposite and counterbalance that. And I learned that the hard way because, I was like, for 30 years of my life, I had anxiety. I didn't even know I had it. When I became a fitness instructor, I was so obsessed with trying to lose weight. I was teaching 5 cardio classes a day, thinking it was going to help me lose weight because I was going to burn all these calories. But actually, I ended up having like stubborn fat because I was over exercising and doing too much cardio. And it was high intensity. So my body was just in chronic stress. Okay. So we want to actually, when I incorporated and I did more yoga, I actually started to see better results and lose weight naturally. Okay. So doing less high intensity exercises, doing things like more yoga is going to really improve anxiety, especially because you're getting so much more breathing through that slow mindful movement. And try not to do exercise past 6 p.m. because then also too, it's going to get you all amped, right? And you don't want that amp feeling right before bed. You want to get more calm and restored before bed. Okay. And then next, right? So we had nutrition, fitness, stress management, and the next component of cannabis, my cannabis therapeutics model is cannabis, the secret weapon. It is not the magic pill, though. I'm just going to say it's not the magic pill. It's a tool. Okay, it's a tool. But what tends to, you got to be kind of, it's experimental. Okay, first of all, and you got to find your therapeutic threshold. So THC is the psychoactive component of cannabis. Too much of it can actually create paranoia. Okay, you're going to feel more anxious, especially taking something like an edible. If you're sensitive to THC, oh boy, you can have that paranoia feeling for hours. Okay, you don't want that, especially if you're new. You want to start small, go low dose, and gradually move up. So one way to counterbalance that is by having something that also includes CBD, because the THC and CBD combined it reacts with your body's receptors in such a way that the CBD doesn't let the THC get overpowering. Okay, so you don't have that anxiety. You don't have that low memory, loss of memory. You're able to actually still be very present, be very mindful, be very grounded. So I think it's a really nice combination of having both of them. And it's interesting. So I work in cannabis territory management here, cannabis sales in Los Angeles. And I ask, everybody that works at the dispensaries, everything right now that's very popular is indica. Indica. What's that? Well, that's a strain of cannabis that has a profile of all the different chemical compounds within the plant that tends to make you feel more relaxed. So right now, with all this stress happening, people want to feel more relaxed. So they're consuming more products that are indica. Everybody's body is different though. So I know for me, I can take an indica strain and still go out and do yoga. So you have to really experiment. And like I said, find your therapeutic threshold. So for instance, like I said, if you take too much, you can have a little bit paranoia, no good. Too little, and you might not feel anything. Okay, so you want to find your middle point. And again, having something with both THC and CBD is going to give you something really nice and balanced. And also, if you're new, then you might actually want to look for something that is higher in CBD than THC. And there's different products out there that actually provide those types of ratios. You can find that in flower, in vape cartridges, in capsules, all different ways. I know with With flower, there's a strain called Charlotte's Web. With vape carts, I work for Alpine, and we have a cart that is a 1-to-1 and a 3-to-1. Canatonic is one of them. Or you can also find, if you're more into like edibles and stuff like that, tinctures. There's CBD Alive. There's also Plus gummies, all kinds of different products. So if you have any questions, just send me a little comment down below and I'll try to answer it. I go again into detail in my book, A Higher State of Health. You can find it on Amazon. You can also download the mindfulness meditations off my website. You can also take one of my classes online for free. Go to my website. I have free classes. But anyways, check it out. We will get through this crisis. I wouldn't call it a crisis. It's helping us evolve, right? We're evolving, and we're evolving together. And we're going to stay calm. We're going to get through all this together. So it was fun connecting with you, and I will see you again soon with another tip, maybe on insomnia, maybe on weight management. I don't know. Whatever you want to hear next, just let me know on the comment section. Adios. Have a good night. Thanks.